Welcome, everybody, to today's episode of The Lindsay Elmore Show. First up, I speak with Dr. Sara Gottfried about how we can truly create personalized medicine for one individual person. After that, I share some of the lessons I have learned about the 5 R's of how to heal the gut in functional medicine. This is a really great episode. I hope you enjoy it. It was such a joy to get to interview Dr. Gottfried and to keep learning more about functional medicine. Let's get to the show. Welcome to The Lindsay Elmore Show, a podcast that helps you find fulfillment amidst chaos. On this show, I interview thought leaders, doctors, creatives, spiritual gurus, and game changers who inspire you to pursue your dreams, overcome obstacles, and leave your mark. Dr. Sara Gottfried is a board-certified gynecologist and physician scientist. She graduated from Harvard Medical School and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. She completed her residency at my alma mater, the University of California, San Francisco. Over the past 2 decades, Dr. Gottfried has seen more than 25,000 patients and specializes in identifying the underlying causes of her patients' conditions to help them achieve true and lasting health transformations. She's not about symptom management. This is about getting to the root cause and correcting course. She is very likely to test her patient's DNA as well as next generation biomarkers and then prescribe a personalized lifestyle protocol using primarily food, not drugs, plus other proven interventions to optimize the gene and environment interface. For each patient, she designs an N of 1. So for those of you that don't know what that is, in clinical trials, the number of participants in your trial is called an N. And an N of 1 means that it is a completely custom approach to help provide information on whether or not the personalized plan will improve the outcomes. She is not all about one-size-fits-all medicine. It's not disease-centered. It is not fix them up and send them home. It's a mission to transform healthcare one patient at a time. Dr. Gottfried also is a global keynote speaker who practices evidence-based integrative precision and functional medicine. Her 3 New York Times best-selling books include The Hormone Cure, The Hormone Reset Diet, and Younger. Her book that will be coming out next year is The Brain-Body Diet. Let's get to my fascinating interview with Dr. Sara Gottfried. Dr. Sara Gottfried, welcome to the Lindsay Elmore Show.
Hey, Lindsay, super happy to be here.
I'm so excited to talk with you because you and we have some overlap in our careers. You went to Harvard, and you also went to MIT, and you did your residency at my alma mater, UCSF, and then you and I both kind of went like, wait, left turn into holistic and integrative medicine. So tell us about your journey from allopathic medicine to functional medicine.
Well, for me, it was when I was struggling in my 30s. And what I found was that when I got married and I had kids, I started to come up against issues like couldn't lose the baby weight, PMS, decreased libido. And this is the place, Lindsay, where conventional medicine just totally failed me.
Right.
I remember going to my doctor and saying, okay, here's my list of woes. Mm-hmm. And the first thing he said was, why don't we give you an antidepressant? And that just kind of stopped me in my tracks because I realized that so many of the things that people are struggling with, especially women, are being treated with exactly the wrong thing.
Yes. I was just doing a podcast segment for an interview with a friend of mine who helped her daughter overcome anxiety. And she said that she felt like she was just on this roller coaster of like, well, try this medicine, try that medicine, try this medicine. And the problem with antidepressant drugs is, number one, the evidence that they work is all over the place. And we also know that we have good natural solutions for mood disorders. People do not have to live with mood disorders. So the system failed you and you started researching, learning. What happened next?
Well, I would say I've always had an integrative focus. I grew up with a great grandmother who practiced yoga and really believed that you don't find the answer to health in the bottom of a pill bottle. You find it in the way that you create your life, the way that you architect your life. So I grew up practicing yoga and eating kale, having the kind of food at school that no one would want to trade with. And, but I would say it was not until my 30s that I really hit this wall. And, when that doctor said, how about an antidepressant? And, oh, how about a birth control pill? Because, it sounds like your issues are hormonal.
Yeah.
That's where I left his office and I went straight to the lab. And I measured my hormones. I looked at cortisol and estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. And that's what really got me on this path. So I've always been integrative. I was part of Students for Alternative Medicine in medical school. I did a lot of research on nutrition, but it didn't come together until that point in my 30s.
Where you just said, enough is enough. I can't do it anymore. So
enough is enough. And also let's look at the root cause, because I think just as you were describing with anxiety, often the root of it is the way that you eat, think, sleep, connect with other people. And when you look at the root cause, when you look at, kind of the underlying inflammation that could be driving anxiety or depression, that makes all the difference.
Absolutely. So I love in researching and looking through your website and everything, you say, look, we have to treat patients like people. And that, I think, is where allopathic medicine is so broken. You treat a disease, you don't treat the person, and you don't get down to what is actually going on. And you describe your practice as precision medicine. What is precision medicine? What does that mean?
Well, precision medicine is where you take every available resource for really understanding a person. So for instance, I use an Aura ring on all of my patients so that I can track their sleep and their heart rate variability. And I get a sense of, how they're rolling with the punches, what their stress levels are like. I use a continuous glucose monitor. I know you can't see it, but I use that in almost all of my patients. And it allows us to, not just collect a fasting glucose in your blood, kind of a quick snapshot, but this ongoing picture of what your body is doing. So that's precision medicine. I practice precision nutrition. I also use a lot of the principles from functional medicine and integrative medicine. It's a way of taking care of patients that I've always done, but I would say it's come more to the forefront in the last few years.
So you talk a lot about continuous glucose monitoring, and here on the show, we've talked about how continuous glucose monitoring can be helpful and beneficial even if you don't have diabetes. And so why do you choose to wear a continuous glucose monitor, and why do you recommend it for your patients?
Yeah, it's a great question. So here's what I figured out when I was in my 30s. I had a fasting glucose that was elevated. It was, like 105, 110. And my conventional doctor told me not to worry about it. I did a hemoglobin A1C and it was normal. It was like 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, not in the diabetes range.
Right.
But what I learned is that this slight problem with glucose actually has these consequences decades down the road. It leads to vascular problems. It sets you up for heart disease, for a heart attack. It sets you up for high blood pressure. It creates this inflammation in the body that you don't want.
Right.
And for me, it led to weight gain. It led to a lot of difficulty losing weight after I had kids. And so what I get with a continuous glucose monitor is data that precedes a change in those other labs, like especially hemoglobin A1C, by about 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll give you a quick example. I first started wearing a continuous glucose monitor a little more than 2 years ago. And I remember I went with my daughters. I've got 2 teenage daughters to, this is before COVID. We went to an acai bowl place. And so I had this bowl. I thought I was doing really well because I added a lot of nuts and, I was really careful about what went into the bowl. But
an acai is like superfood, all the things. You think you're doing something right.
It's supposed to be so good.
Yeah.
And my blood sugar just went through the roof. So it went to, like 180, 190, 200. It stayed there for a while. There was this frat party happening in my body and I didn't know it. I didn't know it because I didn't have a continuous glucose monitor. So I think it can really give you information and help you dial in your glucose so that it's working properly. And insulin is involved in so many things. It is a fat storage hormone. So if you don't have an ideal level of insulin, chances are it's leading to these downstream problems, like I mentioned, cardiovascular disease and so forth. But it's also probably making you struggle with your weight.